I was pretty bad on that day. It took me about 2 to 3 days to recover properly. Alright, so this is Reliving Everest Day 38. As always, let's get straight into it. Day 38 of climbing Everest. And today I am resting in Camp 2. Today I am resting in Camp 2. Very weak, very tired. I remember this part because I was like, am I posting this? You know? My spine was hurting as well. Very dehydrated as well. Took some antibiotics, which Will actually gave me his. Will was a doctor, so he had all the medicine that no one else had. He prescribed it himself. I was shitting my ass out pretty much. Every 2 hours I would have to wake up. This is raw. This episode, I must say, is just pure realness, pure rawness. Bags, pretty much. And now that Antonio wasn't in my tent and I had my own tent, I could shit in the tent. In the bag, I must say, in the bag. I could shit in the actual tent without having to go out to the toilet. If I'm going up there, so I could, you know, have a little section where I just put the bag underneath me, wake up in the middle of the night, let one out, and then go back to sleep. Wiped as well. Don't forget I wiped. I had wet wipes. Feeling much better than yesterday, which froze at some point, but then if you reheat them, they melt. And then the day after tomorrow, we'll be pushing for Camp 3, then Camp 4, and then Summit. So I climbed there with Paula and myself, right? So Antonio when we got back to base camp, Antonio went down to, I think it was Dingboche or maybe Lukla, because what you do as a strategy is you go down to a much lower altitude, recover properly, fully, get some good sleep, get some good rest. Because of the weather at base camp, the day before I left, Antonio couldn't get back to base camp with a helicopter. So in the end, what happened is he had to walk back to base camp from like very far away, and he got lost at certain points as well. So he had to redo the whole Everest base camp trek, which wasn't in his plan. You know, it kind of messed things around. So my plan was to summit on the 11th of May, which was a very good summit window. And Antonio got to base camp on the evening that we were meant to leave for the third and final rotation. I didn't want to change my plans, so I went, and Antonio stayed for an extra day or two, depending on how he was going to feel. And when I got to Camp 2, what ended up happening is I got the diarrhea, I was dehydrated, all of that was happening with me. Antonio actually managed to catch up to Camp 2, you know, so it got to the point where the weather window was turning a little bit iffy anyway. I was going to miss the weather window for the 11th. So the next weather window that was looking good was the 14th of May, which it was kind of a blessing in disguise. It was nice that Antonio caught up, and then by then I was fully recovered. So, you know, in the future days, this is why we were still able to climb together in the following days. But yeah, I remember I was pretty bad on that day. It took me about 2 to 3 days to recover properly from all of that, you know. But yeah, we did it. So yeah, that was Reliving Climbing Everest Day 38. We'll see you in Day 39.